Right. Hello. Good morning, good evening, whatever. Today I was asked to speak on the topic of emetophobia. So that is the basis of today's video. So yeah, but before I start talking about it, I want you guys to go ahead and comment what kind of video and mental health related things you want me to talk about, because I'm here to talk about my experience and share my opinions, and yeah, let's get into it. Also, research that you can find on the internet, and I am just sharing in this video because I hate reading, and some other people might as well. The first thing I'm going to say about emetophobia, it is a phobia. And what is emetophobia? It is a fear of being sick or being around sick people and seeing people being sick. And it's a phobia, not a fear. And I thought I would just do a very basic distinction between what a fear and a phobia is. A phobia is a constant fear filled with irrational thoughts, avoidance, and some other obsessive kind of attributes. And I made a couple of notes, so if I do look down, I'm just reminding myself with a prompt. But a fear is more natural and subject to an scary event, less so to do with obsessive thoughts. It's more in the heat of a moment. Like, phobias are normally circulated around fears, but just constant fears. Another thing I'm going to say about emetophobia, I will get onto my experience and my opinion and what else to say from personal experience, but I thought I would just lay down. So if you are feeling any of these things, hopefully this video can support you. So the two different types of emetophobia you can have is the OCD and the health anxiety. I personally have the OCD type, so it's a bit more complex in my opinion with OCD. And those who don't know what OCD is, it's obsessive compulsive disorder. It's incurable. It has maintenance strategies, but there's no technical cure. But there are ways to maintain your overbearing, intense, obsessive thoughts. Similarities between OCD and the health anxiety is that it can be triggered by experiences with being sick, or the need for controlling your environment or controlling how you feel. Another thing is sensitive to feeling unwell and disgusted. That's kind of the main triggers for the anxiety, and the anxiety taps into the OCD, so they're both intertwined. I've listed a couple things that are emetophobia, the basis of what you're afraid of with emetophobia. So the first point I have is not being able to stop vomiting. I'm going to speak on my personal experience. Let me know if you also feel this way. That was so cringe. Okay, I'm not speaking like that. Not being able to stop vomiting is one of them. Okay, so let's bring that back to my experience. I got really sick in year 2, like really sick. I was throwing up out of my nose. Like, this is graphic. Like, I was throwing up out of my nose, out of my mouth. Like, it was bad. And I threw up probably like 8 times that day. I had to change my pajama shirts so many times because I couldn't even make it to the bathroom. It was bad. So that was really scary. And I think that really did scar me, because ever since then I've been very nervous about sick. So that could be an example. My next point is embarrassment or shame. This is something I also do experience. Like, when I'm in a crowded area, I don't feel this very strongly, because I like being on stage, I like being the center of attention sometimes, God forbid, but I feel like some people, I know a couple of people who are very nervous about being in a room or being kind of trapped. I do get that. Like, I couldn't sit in theatre halls, like in the middle row of the row, because I was like, what if I'm sick? Then I have to throw up everywhere and like in front of everybody, and that's terrifying. So that was another thing associated with the embarrassment and shame. My third point is having I messed that up. Having underlying health issues or a health condition. Now, this is part of my OCD 100%, especially more recently since my head injury. Since my head injury, I've been very hyper aware of my body and how it feels. That is associated with the injury affected how my body felt and how I regulated myself, and I couldn't regulate myself for a while. So yeah. So the idea of having a underlying health condition, this is more common in women because obviously we have menstrual cycles, periods, like the whole, well, menstrual cycle and period pretty much, they're included. But, you know, you never know what's going on because it could be hormonal change, it could literally be anything, and you've just got to be like, well, I just threw up. Yeah. And then another thing that I've listed is losing control. This is a big thing for me. I used to, I'm less so like about controlling it, but I used to be like, I need to be in control at all times. I'm very controlling, but I was very open about that. I like to be in control. I don't care that people think I'm controlling. Like, I enjoyed being in control because it meant that I was able to know what was happening next. This is more an OCD thing as well, of like knowing what's going to happen. This also taps into my autistic side of I don't like things being irregular or uncertain. So that taps into the OCD. And with these like thoughts and feelings and emotions, there's a lot of avoidant behaviors that I used to do and a lot of people have. So I would avoid eating. Oh yeah, this was my point. Oh my god, I remembered. So I had an eating disorder, but it wasn't like I'm fat, want to lose weight. I've never been fat. I've never cared about my body weight, except from looking back at when I was a kid, how freaking skinny I was. Eating, I avoided eating because I didn't want to get sick. And my OCD was like, if you eat this, you will get food poisoning and be violently ill and make everybody feel bad. And so I would be like, okay, well, 12-year-old me is like, yeah, I ain't gonna eat that, but, you know, y'all stay safe. And I would get very anxious when my family would eat certain foods that I had a weird feeling about, because I'd be like, they're gonna get sick, they're gonna die. Nobody died. Nobody really got food poisoning either. But yeah, so that was a big thing. I was very scared of eating food because I was very scared it was going to make me sick. Yeah. I'm going to talk about how I got over that. So in terms of getting over it, there are loads of ways to manage your anxiety. It's very difficult because if you don't have the diagnosis of OCD or just health anxiety, it's very hard to move forward because you don't know what type of therapies or whatever would make you feel good. So behaviors that I would like do was, like, my bedroom is next to the bathroom, so I used to sleep in the bathroom when I was literally a kid. I would sleep in my parents' room because I didn't want to throw up without them there, so I would sleep on the floor next to my parents. I would sleep in the bathroom on the floor because I was so scared of being unwell. Yeah. I found online that people sleep with a bin near their bedside. I didn't do that because I personally felt that if I had the bin near me, I was manifesting being sick. So what I would do is I would avoid any possible chance of me being sick. So like, I would avoid the eating, I would avoid going to the bathroom, I would avoid having like a sick bag or a bin. I would avoid doing things that could possibly make me sick, because that way in my brain I was like, yeah, you won't be sick because you haven't done these things, so you'll be fine. In a way, they were truthful, but extremely damaging, because it was like, no, we can go to the bathroom, girl. Like, you, if you gotta pee or whatever, you can go to the bathroom. You're not gonna be sick just because you're in the bathroom. That was a big thing. Every time I looked in the toilet, I would be like, I'm gonna throw up. I also had a fear of going on long drives because I thought I was gonna get car sick. So I would constantly be like, okay, we're only going on a 5-minute drive to the park, so I shouldn't get car sick. And then it'd be like a 20-minute drive to another place, and I'd be like, okay, 20 minutes I might feel a little bit unwell, so we've got to make sure to look straight ahead and not look anywhere else, otherwise we will be sick. So 10-year-old me is literally like, and then people are trying to talk to me, or like, look at this, and I'm literally like, so yeah. And by the way, I am healed from all of these things. I eat fine, I love food, and I'm still a bit nervous about being sick, but not as scared. Another thing is I am against medicine. Hold on, actually. I'm not against it. Other people want to take it, totally fine. Whatever makes you feel good. Me, I would rather do 5,000 jumping jacks on hot rocks than take paracetamol. I never in my life taken paracetamol, ever. I take Calpol and ibuprofen because I know that has never made me sick as a child. I don't take, I take vitamins, and always, every time I take vitamins, I'm like, it's gonna mess with my pH, it's gonna make me sick. Right, like, okay, yeah. So, yeah, I avoid having any medicines or anything. I've always been like that. I'm like, I would rather lose all my toenails and be awake than take medicine. So, ways that people treat their anxiety is typically therapy. There's not really any medicines for OCD, unless, like, for my case, my OCD is triggered a lot by my ADHD, and so I have been told I can take a specific ADHD medication that just basically quietens down those thoughts and makes them less intense and just helps to maintain the anxiety. And I obviously, as I've said, I'm very against medicine. I'm very scared it will make me unwell, and there are symptoms of nausea, and I'm like, what? I don't take them. I've never tried them. But yeah, so there's medications that can help, but obviously you need a prior diagnosis. My doctor literally said to me, she was like, you don't need medicine, go to therapy. So, and here we are, bitches. But yeah, there are 3 therapy or assistance routes to help treat the anxiety and the obsessive thoughts. So CBT, talk therapy, I have done. I didn't really, I do it now, kind of, but like, I don't know, talk therapy, it helps for some people. In my experience, it helped mildly. Your research, if you feel like it's a good idea for yourself, do it, but I can't really talk much on it because talk therapy is extremely vague, like, especially with emetophobia. It's like, what is the actual fear? Where does it stem from? Does it stem from the OCD or anxiety? And then you can move from there. So it's best to talk to a specialist. But I have done CBT. It didn't work for me. Then again, I was a child. So I've had a lot of therapists and a lot of different strategies. And not a lot of them worked on me. But that doesn't mean they wouldn't work on you. So it's a trial and error, definitely a trial and error, but you will get over it and you will get through it. Exposure therapy, a personal fave, not. I don't like it. I don't like it. When I did exposure therapy, I wanted to shove 7 bombs up my... When it comes to exposure therapy, my therapist, she would get audio... No, what was it? So my mum, when my siblings would be ill, she would be like, come and hear it, come and watch it. I got a thing. Like, I couldn't do it. And then my therapist at the time, she pulled up audio clips, she showed me pictures of sick and all that. I don't know, some people are like, I've heard a lot of people really work in exposure therapy. It takes a little while, but people do get over it very quickly with being exposed to it. not me. I wanted to die. I didn't like it. But then again, exposure therapy has worked for other phobias for me. So it's not necessarily not going to work for everybody, but it could work for a lot of people. Just not me. I think in terms of my own experience with emetophobia, I've had emetophobia my entire life. Since I can remember, I have been terrified of being sick, getting unwell, feeling vulnerable, feeling out of control. I don't like it. I do have OCD. I do have other mental health things that fall on top of it, which don't help. But I want to be very clear, I have overcome a lot about the fear, and I am way less scared of being sick than I ever was. And this was through my own healing, and this was through spending time on healing myself, putting money and energy into my therapy, and I feel a lot better about it. It will never fully go away because I do have OCD, but I do think if I can do it, you definitely can do it 100%. Now I'm going to talk about strategies that have worked for me for dealing with my anxiety, with emetophobia, with other anxieties as well. Emetophobia is one of the many. So I'm going to list things that strategically are meant to help everybody, and then I'm going to go on to tell you what helped me personally. So there are things that you can do, such as touching, tasting, smelling, hearing. Your 5 senses, list 5 things of all of those 5 senses, and it distracts your brain. That's the point. It distracts you and it turns your brain off of that fight or flight mode, and it brings you back to the concentration of the less obsessive and fearful thoughts. Another thing, this works. I don't remember the exact numbers, but this is an example of numbers that I have used, but I think there are many different counts that you can use. But breathing in for 6, out for 5, and hold for 4. I don't know, I was told that. I do it. It does help, because you are literally slowing down the amount of oxygen pumping around your body, and you are quite literally adjusting everything by just breathing slower. You are slowing things down, and the whole point of that is to stop the adrenaline and stop the energy increasing and getting overwhelming. You're slowing it down. And one thing that I've also been told is touching parts of your body that contain a lot of stress. I love to do tapping like this. I love to squeeze my legs when my legs are feeling a little bit tense. I like to massage them. I like to just feel my body, but not in a weird way. I just like to keep it cozy. Feel like somebody else is just kind of, I don't know. I just rub something about being comforted. Distractions. Literally distract yourself. I will get onto what I mean by that when I talk about my personal experience. And talking to yourself. I spoke about this a little bit in my intro video, where your anxieties are telling you, this is scary, this is this is that. And you've just got to be like, thank you for telling me that. I appreciate you voicing that. Let's keep you around. What I like to say is I'll hold your hand and you can stay here. The thought can stay here, but I'm not gonna act out of fear because you've said it. I'm gonna wait and see if that is true, because it is, at the end of the day, irrational thoughts. So yeah. Now, in terms of things that actually help me personally with my anxiety, the 5 senses thing doesn't work for me. I'm so off my head and so panicky that I'm literally I can't see, I can't hear. Doesn't work for me. Some people it does though. Let's not forget, I'm just voicing how I feel, but this should not turn you off of doing the things that help other people, because not everybody is the same. The breathing does work. Since my head injury, I've been really nervous to breathe, because deep breaths when you have a concussion is you get lightheaded and shit. Breathing has always worked for me. Touching the areas of your body, this is something that my therapist recently introduced to me. Just kind of squeezing the areas that just feel a little bit tense, yeah, it really does help because it helps you ground yourself, remind yourself that this is your body, this is a reaction, it's not forever, and you'll be okay. Distractions. Things that I used to distract myself. This is so silly, but if I'm feeling loads of adrenaline, loads of anxiety, I will literally, I will just move. I will move my body to exhaust all of that adrenaline and extra energy that I'm getting from being anxious. I literally will just throw myself about. That's how I really got into dance. I really enjoyed dance because when I was anxious, when I danced, I didn't feel anxious. And when I was horse riding, I never felt anxious. Well, sometimes, because sometimes the horses are a little scary. But on the whole, when I was riding, I was so distracted by doing my sport and doing what I loved. And I was on a living, breathing animal that could just switch up any second. So, yeah, distractions such as focusing on moving, a sport, colouring. I love colouring books. I love colouring books. I like to do my hair. I like to do my makeup. I love playing with fidgets and slime or clay or whatever. I love a good distraction. Something to fiddle with. I feel like my hands get very fidgety. I'm a very fidgety person. I can't sit still. And talking to myself doesn't really work. It was suggested by my therapist, but another thing about it is when you are so anxious and at this certain point of anxiety, the rational thoughts and the rational part of your brain, this has stayed in my brain since she told me, so shout out. The rational parts of your brain at the top of your head, they switch off when your body reaches a certain level of anxiety, a very high level of anxiety. So you cannot so when people are you need to calm down, you need to chill, just think happy thoughts, it's your brain physically can't, because that part of your brain is shut off. It's your brain's yeah, I can't help you, mate, because we fucked. We're gonna die. You reach that point where you physically can't calm yourself down, and that is why these distraction methods, breathing methods are really good at kind of taking your body down a notch and allowing that part of your brain to turn back on and start rationalizing with yourself and realizing you are actually okay, because at the end of the day, you are fine. Being sick, this is kind of controversial because obviously I have a massive fear of being sick, but if you're going to be sick, you be sick. That's all it is. I know it sounds so simplistic, but, and I sound oh, you don't get it. I get it. But at the end of the day, it's okay to feel overwhelmed at that thought because that's your body's reaction. But I think a really important thing is to get to the bottom of why you're reacting that way and what makes you feel distracted and better in those moments of intense overthinking. Because at the end of the day, that's what it is. Having emetophobia is very intense. It's very scary because it's constant, because at any point you can get sick. But what we need to remind ourselves is that we are okay and we're going to be fine. We are alive, we are breathing, we are well. And when we feel a little bit under the weather, the best thing we can do is take care of ourselves. It is scary. It is overwhelming. It's terrifying. I'm the type of person to be I would rather die than throw up. Being sick, it's built up so big in our head, and right, of course it's built up in my head, I think about it all the time, but what we can't do is let it consume us. We've got to find strategies, we've got to find ways to calm down. So I hope some of the suggestions I've made will help you guys with your fear. Obviously, if I've missed anything or you wanted me to talk about something specifically that I didn't get into today, I can always message you back. I can always make another video on it. Totally up to you guys. I want to give you guys all the information that I can from my experience. But yeah, emetophobia is a real fear. Well, it's a real phobia and it is very overwhelming. But I think the best way that I personally got over being sick, I think was just sitting with it and letting myself feel that overwhelmingness and realizing that in that moment, I thought I was going to be sick, but I wasn't. I get it. But at the same time, I can't really speak on experience of actually doing it and getting over the fear, because I got over the fear by just not experiencing it. I don't remember what it feels like. I don't even remember what happens. I don't know. And I'm very grateful for that, because I don't think I can handle facing that fear right now. But I hope this video has helped, and obviously, yeah, reach out if you want to talk about any other topics or need a part 2 with some more strategies, more comments. Just keep me posted. But that's it for now. Bye.